So this is a video about how poor blood sugar management or insulin resistance will eventually damage your health. So first of all, what is insulin resistance? So when we eat food, mainly in the form of carbohydrates, some proteins, we will spike insulin. So how that happens is when we eat them foods, our blood sugar rises, yeah? When our blood sugar gets past a certain point, it sends a signal to the pancreas to kick out insulin. If we're kicking out too much insulin because we're eating too many processed foods, carbohydrates, and drinking probably alcohol as well, because there will be sugar in alcohol, then we're going to have blood sugar spikes. And therefore, the pancreas is kicking out so much insulin that then the insulin receptor shuts off. So let me explain that. So what happens is when glucose is in the blood, it then knocks on the door of a cell, and then the insulin receptor attaches it to it and kind of unlocks the door to let the glucose into the cell so it lowers our blood glucose. That's the best way of explaining it. So when we have too much insulin present, receptors shut off because there's too much insulin knocking on the door. So they shut the door. They lock the door. They don't let any more glucose in. So what happens then? We end up with low-grade inflammation where our insulin is high and so is our fasted blood glucose. And that will contribute to chronic inflammation and aging. And this is how. So when we get frequent blood sugar spikes, this triggers an inflammatory response, right? That inflammation response leads to chronic low-grade inflammation, like I've just said. And this increases something called oxidative stress. So this is then the body starts producing free radicals, which start damaging different cells in the body. And this leads to something called glycation. So what glycation is it's where sugar molecules attach to proteins and fats, and they form advanced glycation end products or age products. And these contribute to aging and stiff arteries. So what that can then do is put pressure on the heart, pressure on the liver, pressure on the kidneys, pressure on the pancreas, pressure on the brain, which we'll go into a little bit later. So poor blood sugar management will cause ups and downs and put stress on your adrenal glands, right? So the adrenal glands are glands that kick out cortisol. So this causes your body to overproduce insulin and cortisol, which will then promote insulin resistance and then fat gain around your midsection if you're in a calorie surplus. But if you've got poor blood sugar management and you're not looking after your nutrition, then you're going to gain body fat. And that'll go around your midsection the more dysregulated your blood sugar is. It'll also cause hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar, because if you're having highs and lows, then you're constantly going up and down, and you'll experience highs where you'll experience like insulin resistant based symptoms, but you'll also experience lows where you're like irritable in between meals. So you're a mixture of high and low blood glucose because your body can't regulate its blood sugar. And then over time, this disrupts the thyroid and disrupts sex steroid hormones, especially in women. And that can end up with females having PCOS, because 80% of females with PCOS are insulin resistant, which I'll go into in a different video. And what this then does is it especially pushes up cortisol. And if we've got too high cortisol, and cortisol is the stress hormone, then this is going to down-regulate these sex steroid hormones and also interfere with thyroid production. And all these different points, how they'll damage your health is that it'll lead to non-alcoholic, or can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And what that is it's where too much insulin is produced, the body's got too high blood glucose, the liver has to distribute and synthesize too much, where it ends up building up fat tissue within the liver and around the liver. And this causes the liver to puts stress on the liver, so the liver can't actually function as effectively. The liver's so important. Again, I'll do another video about this, but it's so important to help the body detoxify. Then with the brain, insulin resistance and high and low blood glucose can eventually lead to Alzheimer's. There's studies to suggest and prove this, that the people with insulin resistance and potentially type 1 and 2 diabetics end up with Alzheimer's because of the highs and lows of blood glucose creating brain inflammation. And the last one is nerves. So it damages blood vessels that supply nerves, and this causes neuropathy, which is the damage to nerve cells where they stop actually functioning as efficiently. So if you have taken something from this video, drop a comment below. If you want further help with anything health related and blood glucose management related, drop me a DM on Instagram, Nathan_Transcend, and I'd be happy to help.